As the giant, menacing fly lord hovered over the falcon swords, it unleashed its paralyzing venom upon them. Sora was paralyzed with fear as the fly lord, a disaster-class monster typically requiring immediate night intervention, continued its relentless assault. He doubted if the falcon swords, despite their experience, could defeat such a formidable beast. Lars was hit by the venom, and Muru hid in the bushes as their leader commanded a retreat. Luna was also struck down while trying to aid the party. Muru stepped forward and cast her magic, but to her horror, it had no effect on the Fly Lord. Realizing their dire situation, she concluded that the only way to save themselves was to use Sora as bait and redirect her magic towards him. The Fly Lord, notorious for its immense strength and rapid reproduction, could unleash countless larvae that would devastate ecosystems and prey on humans. Known to have annihilated entire nations, this creature would inject its venom-laden stinger into its victims, paralyzing them before dragging them back to its nest alive. Muru recognized that Sora, the weakest among them, would be the perfect bait for the beast. Sora fell to the ground, his limbs trembling, glaring at Muru with anger over her betrayal. As the Fly Lord loomed above, ready to strike, Sora, driven by sheer will to survive, forced himself to rise and flee, channeling his rage towards those who had abandoned him. Sora used it as fuel to push forward. He refused to die now, with a new future in sight. He aspired to find happiness and become a successful herbal merchant. Through this resolve, he believed he could fulfill his destiny. Sora wielded his sword to protect others, dreaming of returning to his homeland and earning his father's recognition. As he fought for his life, his thoughts drifted back to the days on his island, where he was mocked by those around him, including his father, who saw him as nothing more than a crying disappointment. He recalled asking his mother why she named him after the sky. She told him that the sky was vast and had the power to connect people no matter where they were. He hoped to grow as generous as the sky, his mother had once told him, trying to comfort him. She wanted him to fill his heart with ambitions, assuring him that his future wasn't limited to the Mitsurugi family. Slowly, Sora opened his eyes and found himself inside the nest of the Lord of the Flies. Trying to move, he realized he was paralyzed by the monster's venom. A faint moan caught his attention. He turned to see a horrifying sight. People rotting alive, being consumed by larvae. The beast had deliberately kept its prey alive to prolong their suffering as they were slowly devoured. Panic set in as Sora frantically scanned his surroundings, realizing that the larvae were now approaching him, ready to feast. He screamed in horror as they began to consume his arms, fingers, and legs. Paralyzed and helpless, he watched in terror as his body was consumed. The larvae's secretions deadened the pain, replacing it with a disturbing sense of euphoria, leaving him feeling like a condemned criminal awaiting execution. If each larva became a Lord of the Flies, the kingdom of Canaria would be in ruins. Known for their swordsmanship, the Mitsurugi family would be the ones to eradicate the monsters. The people would celebrate their success and hail them as heroes who saved humanity, while Sora's death at the hands of the Lord of the Flies would remain unknown, and no one would ever hear of him again. Grieving for himself, Sora screamed as his body was consumed piece by piece, furiously begging the larvae to stop. He didn't want to die, especially not in this horrific place. As the larvae continued to crawl over him, he began to question his life choices, giving up on being an adventurer, abandoning his sword, ignoring the warnings from Lars. He screamed until his voice became hoarse, and then, as the larvae attacked his mouth, his screams turned into internal echoes. Soon, he was entirely covered by thousands of larvae. He watched in horror as his hands and feet disappeared, leaving him unable to hold a sword or walk. Despair engulfed him, and he felt like giving up, something he should have done long ago. He wasn't even himself anymore. That's when he heard a voice urging him to eat the larvae instead of being eaten. He didn't want to die, but he felt powerless both on his home island and in the city of Ashta. Whether as a warrior or adventurer, he had always been useless, proving his father's words right. The head of the Mitsurugi clan wouldn't even laugh at his death. To him, Sora had died since he was exiled. Yet, Runa, his former fiancée, the guild, and the falcon sword would surely laugh at him. Thinking of their mockery rekindled his determination to survive. The voice urged him to eat. Renewed by this determination, Sora began devouring the larvae, fighting for his life. He vowed to avenge those who looked down on him, to devour them as they had devoured him. The voice guided him, saying they were the vast sky, together they were infinite and powerful. The voice then announced that a ceremony would soon begin, telling him to prepare. The voice took the form of a dragon in the vast sky, declaring they were one and the same. As the dragon was about to speak his name, Sora felt an unbearable heat, as if his flesh and bones were burning. A wave of heat surged through his body. With sheer willpower, Sora unleashed a primal scream, igniting his inner strength. He had seen the Phantom Sword-style ceremony countless times, and now he was ready. Activating his core, he shaped his power into a dragon blade, naming it the Soul Eater. At last, he had the strength to defeat powerful demons, a power he had longed for since childhood. Now, with his core and newfound strength, he was ready to embrace his destiny.